The neon-drenched rooftops of the Xylos Trading Post were a jagged urban mountain range, bathed in the perpetual glow of holographic advertisements and the rain-slicked glare of streetlights below. It was here on the precarious ledge of a derelict water tower that the Shadow Network had convened its tribunal. The accused was Broker Xylo, one of their own, caught red-handed selling network assets to the Imperial Coalition. The prosecutor was Field Medic Sira, a woman known for her unshakable calm and sharp mind, a reputation she had earned in the blood-soaked trenches of corporate warfare. She was not here for justice, but for an example. Xylo stood defiantly, his tailored suit whipping in the wind. He was a broker, a man who dealt in information and leverage, and he believed he still had one card left to play. "This is a farce," he sneered, his voice carrying over the hum of the city. "The network prides itself on efficiency. Killing me is a waste of a valuable asset." Sira's support, a grim-faced enforcer named Rorik, cracked his knuckles. "You're a traitor, Xylo. The only waste would be letting you breathe another minute." Xylo's own support, a data slicer he'd hired as insurance, stood silently behind him, her face illuminated by the glow of a data pad, her fingers flying across the screen. Sira stepped forward, her medical bag at her feet. She wasn't interested in threats. "Xylo, the data is irrefutable. We have the transaction logs, the voice recordings, the witness testimony from the Imperial officer you sold to. Your guilt is a mathematical certainty. The only question is the sentence." Her voice was calm, clinical, as if she were diagnosing a terminal illness. Xylo laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. "A certainty? Sira, you're a medic. You should know that certainty is an illusion. Symptoms can be misleading. Diagnosis can be wrong." He nodded to his data slicer. She tapped a final command, and a holographic projection flickered to life between them. It was a recording, but not of Xylo. It was of Sira. The hollow Sira was in a medical bay, speaking to an Imperial officer. The audio was clear. "The target is secure," the hollow Sira said. "The poison is slow-acting, untraceable. The Shadow Network will never know what hit them. My payment will be transferred as per our agreement." The recording was perfect, the likeness undeniable. It was Sira's face, her voice, committing the ultimate treason. Rorik, the enforcer, roared in fury and raised his weapon, but Sira held up a hand, her face a mask of shock. She stared at the projection, her mind racing. It was a deepfake, of course, a masterful fabrication, but to the tribunal, a panel of the network's most paranoid and ruthless leaders, it was a smoking gun. The evidence against Xylo was suddenly overshadowed by this new, explosive revelation. "It seems," Xylo said, his voice dripping with venomous triumph, "that you have a bigger traitor in your midst. I was merely selling secrets. She was poisoning us from inside." He had turned the tables completely. He had transformed his own trial into Sira's execution. Sira knew she had to dismantle the lie. She focused on the recording, her medic's eyes catching details others would miss. "The diagnosis is wrong, Xylo," she said, her voice regaining its composure. "You've presented us with symptoms, but you've misinterpreted the disease." She pointed at the hollow Sira. "Look at her hands. In the recording, her left index finger has a small scar, a legacy of a knife fight on Port Noir. I have that scar." She held up her own hand, showing the faint white line. "But look closer. The scar on the hologram is perfectly straight. Mine is not. It's jagged. The hologram is a fabrication." Xylo smirked. "A minor detail, easily overlooked in a rush." "Not overlooked," Sira countered, pressing her advantage. "Intentional. You see, the real giveaway isn't the scar. It's the medical bay itself. The readouts on the monitors in the background, they're displaying Imperial Coalition biometric standards. The oxygen content is set to 22%, the gravity to a precise 1G. It's a sterile, perfect environment. The network doesn't operate like that. Our medical bays are jury-rigged. The equipment is scavenged. The oxygen levels are always fluctuating because of the cheap filters. The gravity generator has a slight, persistent wobble. You didn't just fake me, Xylo. You faked an entire environment that you've never been in. You built this lie in an Imperial lab, and you forgot to make the mess. The logic was impeccable. The tribunal members, who had all spent time in those same jury-rigged medical bays, nodded in agreement. They saw the truth. Xylo's face fell. His masterstroke, his perfect lie, had been undone by a simple, overlooked detail. He had been outwitted. He was finished. The sentence was death. But as the enforcers moved in to grab him, Xylo gave a final, desperate signal to his data slicer. She didn't run. She smiled and tapped one last command on her datapad. "It's been a pleasure," she said to Sira, before a high-pitched whine filled the air. The hollow emitter, the device that had shown the fake recording, overloaded violently. It exploded not with fire, but with a blinding flash of hard radiation, a directional pulse aimed squarely at the tribunal panel. Sira, with her medic's instincts, threw herself to the ground, shielding her head. Rorik and the others were not so fast. They were caught in the blast, their bodies seizing as the radiation fried their nervous systems. When the light faded, the entire tribunal leadership, Xylo's accusers and judges, were dead. Xylo stood amidst the carnage, his expression one of utter shock. He hadn't meant for that to happen. He had a dead man switch, a final act of spite, but he had never intended to use it. His data slicer, a true believer in the chaos the Shadow Network profited from, had made the decision for him. Sira slowly got to her feet, her ears ringing. She had won the argument. She had proven her innocence. But in doing so, she had triggered the very catastrophe she had tried to prevent. She was the sole survivor on a rooftop full of dead leaders, standing next to the man she had just condemned, a man who was now, by default, the most powerful person in the local network hierarchy. She had won the battle of wits, but the war was lost, and she was trapped in the ruins.